White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has delivered an extraordinary rebuke to critics of Donald Trump's handling of the families of fallen U.S. military heroes. Kelly made an unannounced appearance at the White House podium on Thursday afternoon amid an unprecedented feud between Trump and Frederica Wilson, a Democratic congresswoman who overheard the president tell the widow of Sergeant LaDavid Johnson her husband knew what he signed up for before he was killed on duty in Niger. Breaking years of silence over the death of his own son in Afghanistan, Kelly said he was broken-hearted by the politicization of troops who died on the battlefield. "It stuns me that a member of Congress would have listened in on that conversation, absolutely stuns me," said Kelly, while adding he was so incensed by the episode that he walked among the stones at Arlington Cemetery for an hour and a half on Wednesday. "I thought, at least that was sacred, but it was eroded a great deal yesterday by the selfish behavior of a member of Congress." However, he failed to acknowledge that this week's furore began when Trump launched an unprompted attack on his predecessors Barack Obama and George W. Bush over their outreach to bereaved military families. Kelly went on to offer a protracted justification for what he said was Trump's attempt to offer his condolences to Johnson's wife, Misha. Kelly said there was no perfect way to make that phone call. Recounting the day when he was informed of his son's death, Kelly recalled his close friend Jen Joseph Dunford arriving at his doorstep. Dunford had told him his son was doing exactly what he wanted to do when he was killed, Kelly recalled. He knew what he was getting into by joining that 1% who serve in uniform, Kelly said, seeking to convey the nuance lacking in Trump's own reaction to the controversy. He knew what the possibilities were, because we're at war. Kelly added that's what the president tried to say to the four families the other day. Describing Trump as brave for making the calls, Kelly said the president had sought his counsel on how to handle them. Kelly said he told the president that those who were not family, had never worn the uniform, and who did not serve can't even imagine how to make that call. Wilson was not alone in her interpretation of the call. LaDavid Johnson's mother also took issue with Trump's tone, telling reporters on Wednesday President Trump did disrespect my son and my daughter and also me and my husband. Trump claimed earlier this week that former presidents did not contact the families of fallen troops. In particular, Trump said Obama did not call Kelly after his son Robert was killed in Afghanistan in 2010. Trump's remark prompted former Obama administration officials to reveal that 6 months after his son's death, Kelly and his wife had been invited to a White House breakfast for bereaved Gold Star military families and sat at Michelle Obama's table. Kelly confirmed on Wednesday that he did not receive a call from Obama, but clarified that presidents did not always reach out by phone to grieving families and often chose instead to write letters. That was not a criticism, Kelly said of Obama. That's not a negative thing. A visibly emotional Kelly focused his initial comments on what happens when a service member dies, explaining in heart-wrenching detail the process of bringing the body home and notifying the next of kin. "I appeal to America, let's try to keep that sacred," he said. However, he became increasingly angry as he deplored the politicization of military deaths. Although speaking from personal experience, Kelly was undeniably operating simultaneously as the White House Chief of Staff cleaning up a political mess created by his boss. He proceeded to take questions only from reporters who personally knew Gold Star families, telling the room an investigation into the attack in Niger was underway. "The fact is they need to find out what happened and why it happened," Kelly said, before reverting back to his role as a retired four-star Marine general by concluding his remarks with a plea to members of the media. "Understand there's tens of thousands of America's kids, mostly, doing the nation's bidding," Kelly said, observing that unlike in his days when there was a draft, those serving today were doing so by choice. They don't have to be in uniform. These young people today, they don't do it for any other reason than their sense of selfless devotion.